Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Asian Vision Dialogue. I'm Sreynou, and today it gives me a pleasure to bring everyone to another new topic, which is about Cambodia roadmap for economic recovery in the post-COVID-19 pandemic. And also with the support from our guest speaker, I have the pleasure to have Dr. VONG Pichborei. He's an assistant to senior minister and also a professor to several educational institutions in Cambodia, which is at the Royal University of Law and Economics, at National University of Management, and also other institutions in Cambodia. And without further ado, join me to welcome Dr. Borei to our program. Greetings, Dr. Borei. So welcome to the Asian Vision Dialogue. And thank you for being here with us. How are you feeling today?
I'm good.
All right. So I'm going to raise a few questions with regard to our topic. And I have known that Doctor earned your PhD in economics science and also your master degree also in economics. So I would be glad to hear your insights and also like the knowledge sharing to our audience with regard to the economic recovery for Cambodia, as our government have initiated many policies to recover the economic and social situation in Cambodia. So for the first question that we're gonna talk today, I would like to know the status of the economic progress in Cambodia, because we have learned that the situation in Cambodia now, the COVID-19 situation, gets a lot better compared to the early days of the outbreak. So we would like to know how's the status of economic progress, because government has initiated many policies, including the recent 3 years work plan for economic recovery.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, it's my great pleasure and honor to be here under the discussion under the topic of implication of post-pandemic recovery plans. So as we can see that by launching the post-recovery plan in the late of 2021, the situation currently have been forecasting by many institutions such as World Bank or ADB. They projected that our economy have positively growth. For example, World Bank, they just recently forecast we will grow 4.5% this year, and ADB 5.1%. The overall economic situation is recovered. On top of that, we can see the report from CDC, Council for the Development of Cambodia. We have approved 47 projects equivalent to 2,500.02 million USD. That is so the positively growth if we compare to last year, 6.8%. And besides those foreign direct investment, we can see the trade volume growth up to 12 million. So if we compare to last year, of course, it showed the positively grow 9%. And those trade volume increase because of three aspects: agriculture, energy, and these garment and textile industry. Agriculture, of course, it's grow because of the RCEP and Cambodia-China trade agreement. Thanks to our government that take initiative into those two framework, I can say regional framework. And that's all for me, I think.
Thank you, Dr. Borei. So another question from our dialogue is that we have known that Cambodia has given significant emphasis on its small, medium enterprises. And we would like to know what are the roles of SME in economic development, especially in the context of the social economic recovery.
Okay, thank you. It's a very good question. So recently we have already known that our government have placed the attention toward SME either by financing them or giving them the technical. We can see by giving financing through the SME bank and technical from Startup Cambodia. Have you ever heard of that? And SME already play important role in every economic situation, not only in less developed country, but also in developed country as well. It's a backbone economy. It gives a stable growth to the economy. So it creates a job market for the local people. It reduces the gender inequality, youth empowerment, so on and so forth. By stating by the International Federation of Accountants, we can see that SME contribute to GDP to each and every ASEAN member state from 30 to 53%, along with the export 10 to 30%. So it's a very great number toward the GDP.
Thank you, Doctor. So I have heard that you said Startup Cambodia. It's really interesting to know about the detail of that. So could you tell us what is Startup Cambodia? What is it?
Okay, currently Startup Cambodia have going into phase 2 that have already launched early May this year. And Startup Cambodia is the national framework that put all the stakeholders in one table, having the discussion, concern, issue related to the investment or businesses. And it's ranged from student, institution, and investor that include public and private sector. So that I believe that this framework is work definitely and support SME as well. Anyway, by stating the economic theory, we can say this national framework, so-called this Startup Cambodia, can minimize the coordination failure in the economic, because when, in particular economic, when coordination failure happened, the economic does not grow because the public and private sector did not cooperate together to bring to invest or to bring another new piece to the economic. So that's my idea concerning the Startup Cambodia. Yeah.
Oh, so I think I have optimistic about the growth of the Startup Cambodia. So another interesting question. So Startup Cambodia is kind of the digital platform, right?
Yes, of course.
So with regard to this, we have another question about the government that they aim to build a prosperous post-pandemic economy. So in the area of digital economy, could you elaborate on a little bit how it's transformed to Cambodia economic activity?
Okay, thank you. That's also a good question. When we talk about digitalization in the economy or digital era, I believe that people will talk a lot more about advantages or plus point. For example, it will gather all the resource, it will utilize all the resource, make the economy grow effectively and efficiency. But let's look at the other angle, the con side or disadvantages. As stated by Ministry of Economy or our Royal Government, we are in low acceleration state to utilize this technology right now, because when country can benefit those technology or digitalization, it needs agents. The first one is people, second one institution, and third one is private sector. Those three agents are really need to have the technology literacy so that they can utilize or can benefit from digitalization. So currently we can see in ongoing situation in economic activity, fintech industry, financial technology industry play important role in our daily life. We can see I think yesterday or recently, National Bank of Cambodia just launched the KHQO, so to support our daily life more convenient by scanning those QR. So in current situation, fintech industry is really outstanding beside all the other sector. So that's how digital era or digitalization in our economy have benefit from it. And in order to make it more, or we can say more digitalized than that, we need people because we have low skill labor. Our labor need to be more advanced in the knowledge of technology so that we can utilize those technology to our labor or worker and to boost the productivity in economic in every prioritized sector that our government have prioritized. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. So, we have learned a lot from you with regard to the economic perspective on the situation and the issue concerning the COVID-19 pandemic. I have learned that besides COVID-19 crisis, we can see many challenges that the region and the world are confronting with. Especially, we can see the political crisis in Myanmar, even the ongoing Ukraine and Russia crisis. Also, like other non-traditional security issues like climate change. So it's like there are still many challenges, and Cambodia is no exception that we also face with this issue. So from your point of view, are there any ways that the government can minimize those negative impacts?
Okay, thank you. That's a very good question. That the ongoing situation right now across the region, across the globe, have affecting not only Cambodia but every country across the world, especially Russian and Ukraine crisis. So, as to Cambodia perspective, I think as to this year we are the ASEAN chair. Okay, so we need to be, I think, neutral at our best. So we cannot stick to another side of the political, we can say, area or region. So we need to be neutral and to minimize those effects to our economy, such as, for example, foreign direct investment or export. We need to diversify. We already know that our export destination is to Europe and US. Most of them, okay, I can say like 70% or 80% to Europe and US. We need to diversify our market or export destination to Asian region instead, or even to Canada. That having the potential export market for us. So why we need to diversify? When it comes to Russian and Ukraine crisis, who affect the most is European country. So if we rely on European market, we also get those negative impacts from them as well. So we need to diversify and utilize our newly RCEP and China trade agreement with us to export. So we can see even our agriculture product does export a lot this early year. It increased 11% comparing to last year. So, but do not happy with that because with the current oil price, it will affect our agriculture export as well because those oil price increase, fertilizer increase, pesticide increase, so it affects to those agro food or production. So we need to diversify, we need to be neutral, and as well as we need to enhance our capability in ICT, so-called the knowledge in technology toward our people. I think government have already implemented a lot of strategy related to digitalization. to economy and social as well as the e-government. So we are already or we are preparing ourselves toward the new challenge ahead and to achieve our vision in 2050 to be the higher income country status. Yes, thank you.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Borei, for your insights. I think that really important that we have a very great initiative from the government as well as the government have prepared everything in advance to address those issues. So another last question, just from your perspective. So we talk a lot about the policy of the government. So from the individual perspective, do you think as citizens, as especially for the young generation, what should we do to support the government to implement the policy in an effective manner?
Okay, thank you. That's a very good question. And for the younger generation, not to be, we can say, do not have any concept toward the government policy, so on and so forth. I think government already placed the attention toward startup. The word startup is related to individual startup when you want to run a business, so on and so forth. So those startup Cambodia framework, or we can say national framework, has placed an important point. Even you are a student as well, right? Because Ministry of Economy and Finance also think that students even in university or even in high school also the important agents toward the economy. So they need to raise the awareness of how to run a business, entrepreneurship, so on and so forth. Without entrepreneurship, people or citizens in one particular country will definitely fail in the business industry. We can see lots of people might quit the business early because of the bankruptcy, so on and so forth. So government have played important, but being a citizen, we need to understand when it's come to, we can say, when it's come to the new policy or framework that government have launched, we need to study them, whether those policy or framework giving or benefit to our economy or not. Which industry that our government prioritize, which sector that government prioritize. So we need to get insight out of that and start giving our idea through democracy. Okay, so we can raise our concern about this policy is not fit with current situation, so on and so forth. As our country is democracy, so every voice from citizen is really matter to conduct or to construct the framework.
All right, thank you so much. So thank you, Dr. Borei, for your insights and the time to joining us today. Due to the time constraint, I think that's all the questions that we discussed. So, ladies and gentlemen, the dialogue is coming to an end. I think you enjoy our discussion with the guest speaker and hope to see you in the next episode.